What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your man C Dougie here with my guy AJ. Man, we cut it the intro stream short because we have a ball game that just basically went final. Baker Mayfield just threw basically an interception, going on a game-winning possible drive, and the Detroit Lions against everybody is finally headed to the NFC Championship game, man. AJ, I already know you want to do play-by-play, man. I'm sitting here watching. I had to end the intro, man. What a game, man. What a game.
I give the Baker. Yeah, he played good towards the end. Until that last throw, he played good. I'll give Baker his credit, but I don't know what the Bucks do moving forward with this team because Mike Evans is a free agent. I don't know what's next for this squad.
I would say this: the NFC games were back and forth. I'm not saying that this game coming up here at 6:30, 5:30 local time for us will definitely be a a far-fetched game just like Baltimore versus Houston was, but I'm really looking forward to this next game coming up here this afternoon, man. But what a game. What a game. Me and AJ and I were saying right before we went live, I think both offensive coordinators, put on a hell of a show for any coach or any GM, any owner looking to hire them as their new head coach. Glenn, being a Detroit's defensive coordinator, didn't do bad as well. But it's going to be it's basically, again, like they said, Detroit versus everybody, and the NFC favorite, the San Francisco 49ers next week, man.
Detroit might be in for the upset.
I mean, I see Baker's face. Meaning the Panthers, we knew what Baker was going to do. That was what we saw from Baker. But again, I think Baker deserves a contract. Most definitely, Baker deserves a contract.
How big of a contract?
He definitely showed that he has a coordinator that is believing in him. And the only thing is, what's going to happen if he has a new coordinator? Because possibly his offensive coordinator is going to get a head coaching job or a head coaching gig.
I think it's too soon. After 1 year, he might stick around a little bit. My thing is with Tampa Bay, like I mentioned before, I wouldn't give Baker a 3 or 4 year deal. I'll do similar to what the Seahawks did with Geno.
Yeah,
what's up, Austin?
2-year deal in a third year as a player option.
Well, what's going on with it, Austin?
Yeah, that's our guy DJ Spins, man. But yeah, so overall, man, like we can jump into it. Like I said, we got 17 minutes into the next game. I'm gonna go ahead and switch over right now. But overall, like which game you want to jump into? I mean, we can continue talking about this game, or we can really start from yesterday. I mean, it was some great games as yesterday as well.
Nah, it was a great game yesterday and one horrible game yesterday.
Like I said, I already know which game you're talking about. So you want to go with the horrible game or the great game first?
Now we can go with San Francisco and the Packers, man. Purdy. Jared Goff is the only one that looks like he can shoulder majority of the weight right now because the run game has been inconsistent in the playoffs with that team.
Yeah, and I would say this. Shout out to Aaron Jones. I think a lot of people slept on Aaron Jones as well because he did get hurt during the season. But if you really look at it, he was really fresh legs for this team going down the stretch. They just look at Dallas. Whenever you see what he did against the Dallas Cowboys, you really were able to see exactly what he was able to do. Not playing, I think he didn't play 2 games going down the stretch. But again, you have a young quarterback, which again, also the Green Bay Packers are the youngest team in the NFL. So for them to basically take the San Francisco 49ers, who are one of the favorites out of the NFC, all the way to a minute and 7, you really have to tip their hats out to their coaching staff and the players buying in.
My thing is with Green Bay, they'll be back next year. It's just, what do they want to do with that team in free agency? Do they want to bring in pieces? Do they keep the pieces that they have? Because Christian Watson missed a lot of time this year. The same with Romeo Doubs as well. And Romeo Doubs is really good. Him and Jaden Reed, they can bring in a veteran wide receiver. I really wish that Devontae Adams was still with this team. Because imagine what he'll be able to do with Jordan Love right now. And you look at the situation. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Raiders in a couple minutes, but when you look at the situation that he's in right now, the Raiders kind of really no man's land. If he was here with the Packers, they'll be in a better situation. They just need some consistency around Jordan Love. Like you mentioned, they're a young football team. They just got to stay healthy on the field.
So I would say this: imagine if Jordan Love had a true number one. Not saying Watson, not saying Witz, not saying Dobbs are a true number one, but we're talking about a bona fide Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, like AJ said, Deontay Adams, Cooper Cuff. Just imagine Puka Nakua being on that team. If you actually put him with Jordan Love and the weapons that he had already, I think we may be talking about a different game. I really think we might be talking about a different game if he had that one more weapon that he needs.
But then the same way I look at it this way too, it's a positive because they were the last seed to get into the playoffs. That's what a lot of people aren't talking about. There's the last seed to get in the playoffs. They ran over the Cowboys, and even though the Cowboys did have a bad game, they were still a red hot team. They didn't lose a team. They didn't lose to a team at home this season. The Packers went in there, blew them out, and for them to stick with the 49ers the way they did, that's a positive. And one thing about the 49ers that does concern me, more so about the defense and the offense, they were giving up a lot of rushing yards yesterday to Aaron Jones. Next week, you're going against a team that's going to run the football a lot with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. That's something to look out for because if they cannot get that run D under control, they may not be able. Yeah, they may not be able to come out next week. And you're going against one of the best play callers in Ben Johnson, who more than likely will be a head coach for a team next season.
So I would say this. I was more shocked when David Montgomery got hurt. But let's even go back whenever he was with the Bears. We never were able to see this type of running when he was with the Bears. Was it due to not having weapons or not the right play caller? You also have to look at Gibbs. Gibbs can take a run or a catch in the backfield and go the distance. We just saw whenever he had basically the game-winning touchdown. He actually took the ball, took it to the distance, and he's your. I don't want to call him a scat back because he actually can be a 3-down back. And the thing with the Detroit Lions, they have 2 running backs that can actually be both 3-down backs. So if one is tired, you plug and pull. And like AJ just said, if the Green Bay Packers have problems just with one running back in Aaron Jones, you have to go against 2 now. And you still have St. Brown. You're going to have Reynolds. You still got Sam Laporta. This team right here can really get San Francisco a run for their money next week. Logan asked a question that she said, what's going on, Monet? Logan asked a question that you said, AJ, are we going to end, are y'all ending this before the next game? We're going to try to do a little bit play-by-play while the game is going live, Logan. If you want to stay on, we'll be here, man. I know AJ got to go ahead and head over to All Pro Sports Talks to do do a video. But like I said, we just going to cover a couple of topics.
That can wait. I'll let everybody get their stuff out first. That can wait. But yeah, we'll see. You're not gonna get me too animated tonight. Everything went to as planned. The only thing that I am disappointed about is that Texans and Ravens game. That's pretty much it.
Here, we'll go ahead and show the highlights that we talk about. Let me shout out my guy Kuntz, man. Kuntz, go ahead and drop a score for me. I already know you told me you got a prior engagement, but you being a Buffalo Bills fan. Again, shout out to Cooking It with Kuntz. He took his boys out there to KC to go see them play in person. If you want to head over and watch another vlog from a fan outside of the Panthers, definitely head over to my big. He's a warrant officer now, so I can't call him Bit Sarge, but he always be my Bit Sarge. Head over to his channel, Kicking It with Kuntz. Check his content out when he took him and his kids to a live vlog when they were in KC. But Kuntz, go ahead and drop a score prediction for me, man, so I can see what you got to say. But let's go ahead, AJ.
Super Bowl, a lot of people are going to lean towards the Ravens. The one thing that I will say about the Ravens, where they're vulnerable at, their wide receivers are still not the best. You have Zay Flowers and Rashard Bateman But the way that things are being called right now is very basic. They can get away with that because they're able to run the football. But if they go against a team that can stop the run, Lamar Jackson have to go out there and actually beat teams with his arm. He's done that in the past against teams like Miami Dolphins, but if the play calling is not better, that's one thing that can bite them in the Super Bowl or even in the AFC Championship.
Before I get my take, my guy Kuntz said 31-21 Bills. And you already know, man, I gotta show love where love is due, man. Again, if you want to write your score prediction for tonight, definitely drop in the chat. We'll definitely post it up before the game starts. For me, I was on Lamar Jackson before the season even started. Lamar Jackson was my fantasy quarterback. Me and AJ kind of talked later in the season and basically met up. But I was high on Lamar during the fantasy playoffs. I knew when Lamar got his money and if Lamar stayed healthy, I told everybody Lamar was going to be your NFL MVP this year. If you just look at what I was hearing out of Baltimore, hearing from him, it just sounded like a different young man. He's still young. He's only, what, 27?
27.
So, I mean, people really got to understand he's not even in his quote-unquote prime yet. He's still young. And for me, just looking at both coordinators, that team from top to bottom with Jim Harbaugh, with his offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, they're the best team in football. I mean, every team is going to have flaws, but when you just look at how Lamar put that team on his back, shout out to DeMeco Ryans, who will be your NFL Coach of the Year. Shout out to CJ Stroud and them boys as well. But you can tell when DeMeco definitely had a game plan for Lamar in the offense in the first half. That's where adjustments are big. You saw the different adjustments with, is it McDaniels? No, McDaniels is the defensive coordinator. Do you know their offensive coordinator by chance, by name, AJ?
For who?
For Baltimore.
Todd Monken.
Todd Monken comes from Georgia. I cannot think of his name. But if you can tell, the way to get out was getting short passes or getting the ball out of Lamar's hand as quick as possible. But like AJ also said, the offense cannot do anything against that defense who only allowed 16, I think it was 16.5 points per game. He only scored 3 points. And outside of a punt return that was miraculous, it was basically a turning point in the game. You didn't score anything else. So outside of, like AJ said, right now, outside of all those games, I would say that game was definitely a disappointment. But there's nothing for Houston to hang their hats on because, again, you had a rookie quarterback. You have a first-year coach that for tell of two halves basically had Baltimore on the ropes. So for me, man, I do want Baltimore to win it because the reason why I want both coaches, both brothers to win both respective football championships. You got John winning at Michigan. You're going to have Jim winning in the NFL, man. All right, so I got Logan James. Here, let me read this, and then AJ, I'll pass it off to you. Logan James said, Casey all the way 28-14, and AJ, we need that Baker and Bucks video ASAP. LOL. I told you Baker would bounce back.
Yeah, he bounced back and threw a pick at the end. That's what he did.
All right, Corbin Rogers said, Doug, do you still feel like Trey Lance will be the face of the Cowboys? And who do you guys have winning the Super Bowl right now? Appreciate that, man. Like I said, appreciate everybody pulling up. AJ and I are definitely going to have a short live. Like I said, we just got a couple of topics that we want to put out there before the media gets it and any other platform. Definitely reports on a couple of things. Number one, I do think Trey Lance may have a chance. If the Dallas Cowboys do not re-sign Dak Prescott, do not be shocked that Trey Lance will come in and really do work. And what I mean by that, AJ was able to actually put a poll up on his channel and said, does Trey Lance need more time? Or is he the answer or is he not the answer? I just think he needs more time. The NFL, you can't really wait though, because you need the newest best thing as a quarterback. So for me, I do think Trey Lance, if he does get the opportunity, he will not disappoint. And like I just said, Corbin, I'm definitely looking forward to the Baltimore Ravens raising that trophy and Lamar getting his first championship.
I'm sticking with the first one. I'm going to stick with what I had since week one. I'm going to go Niners. I'm going to still go 49ers. I am concerned they go against the Ravens again. Because, man, I feel like Purdy is still young. The only thing that really concerns me about the 49ers, their offensive line, besides Trent Williams, is very middle of the road. And when Brock is dealing with pressure, like how he did yesterday, you start to see a lot of bad things show up that made him be a late round pick in the first place. But I'll take the 49ers right now. And if the 49ers don't find a way to make it through the NFC Championship, I can see Baltimore going in easily and taking the Super Bowl. But right now, Baltimore is the favorite. I'm just not going to stick away from my stance with the 49ers.
Okay. Do you want to touch Corbin's question about Trey Lance?
Man, Trey, see, the reason why I asked that question in the poll, 42% said yes, and the other percent said he needs time, and 9% said he's a bust. My thing is with Trey, no one knows what he is. He didn't play much in college. And when you go back to high school, he played, but it wasn't like other high school students. He played in a private school. So his reps aren't that much against pro level competition. I do think the Cowboys should move on from Dak. I'm going to stand on that no matter what. I don't know what Jerry Jones is thinking with bringing him and Mike McCarthy back. Somebody has to go. I think I sent you the thing behind the scenes, the article that they look to extend him
Yes.
and they look to
Yes.
with me and with what CD Lamb mom said about Dak, I'm getting
Yeah.
Dak out of there. Dak got to go. Dak got to go because we've seen this over and over again. And Trey Lance might not be good as Dak, but you won't know unless you put him out there. I think that you have a bright future with him as a starting quarterback, and you have Cooper Rush back him up. You can be in a good situation. And the thing is with Cooper Rush, he's not going to turn the football over. So if Trey Lance is not it, you can just go back to Cooper Rush, run a very dink and dunk type of system. He can throw the ball down the field as well. You can play through your defense. My thing is with Dak Prescott, he puts up good numbers, but in the playoffs, he's just not good enough. And I don't know how many times Jerry Jones has to see it.
Yeah. Real quick before we continue that, appreciate you for your comment, Monet. He said, I'm kind of scared and for won't let Patrick Mahomes lose his first road playoff game. So, AJ, with that, Monet, also, if you're still there, man, go ahead and write your score prediction for tonight. AJ, what's your score prediction before the game kicks off? And give me
I'm
three key
taking
factors.
I'm taking Buffalo to win this game 24-21.
Okay.
I am concerned because all their linebackers are hurt, but their entire secondary, except for Tre'Davious White, is back. And the one thing about the Chiefs, I've said this over and over again, they're not playing Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney, but they've been dealing with drops all season long. I think that Mahomes is in a good situation. He's played better, but it's a lot of penalties that's going to hold this team back. Be on the lookout for Jawan Taylor in this game because he's been a terrible tackle with this team, and the Buffalo Bills edge rushers have been good all season long.
All right. My heart says Buffalo 27-21. And my head says Kansas City 24-21. I'm going to go with my heart. I used to live in Buffalo. I know how Orchard Park is rocking right now. I really want Josh Allen to get over that mountaintop. That mountaintop meaning he can't beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. In the playoffs.
And see, man,
What'd you say, AJ?
I just feel bad from what happened a couple years ago when Tyreek basically just ran him.
Yeah.
I just feel bad.
And I think with this, if this game was in Kansas City, there's no chance that Buffalo's winning it. With it being in Buffalo, I do think that the home field advantage, Bills Mafia. I think Patrick Mahomes is gonna be ready for the lights, camera, action. But I think Josh Allen is on a mission. He wants to get this behind him, regardless if it's one win. Even if they lose next week, he got over his hump. His hump being that he can't beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. So I'm really expecting Orchard Park. I'm expecting Buffalo, New York, to definitely be rocking tonight. And I do think the Bills are going to come up on top. Great showdown for an AFC championship game with the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens.
Man, is it messed up? I don't want to see Baltimore in the Super Bowl because I know what's going to happen.
Why don't you?
Man, they play a old school brand of football to where they run the football and they just play defense. You're not going to get too many spectacular plays out of Baltimore unless you see Lamar Jackson running. Other than that, man, it's that old school type of run the football, play through the defense, that old school AFC North type of thing. I think that because you have a lot of casual fans that watch it, they'll probably be more wild if they see Josh Allen and really the Lions in the Super Bowl.
I would say this: if the Lions win it, I'm gonna go for the Lions, even though they
Yeah.
may not win it. It's just what Dan Campbell has been able to do with that organization, with that team, and the city finally behind this team. Every team and I think every fan wants their team and city to be behind a team like Detroit is right now.
My thing is this: they when you look at it, I'm rooting for them to win because have you seen the Pistons? How bad the Pistons are in the NBA? Man, man, they
Hey,
deserved
now
it.
answer this. Now you know we talk basketball. Wasn't it 27 games that they lost
Yeah,
consecutive?
27. 27. How you lose 27 games in a row and you have pro athletes on your team?
Man, like I said, that's
This
a story for another day, man. Because like I said, we can real get deep into that, man.
then the
Real,
Lions went 0-16 not too long ago.
yeah. But AJ really just said something going into our next topic, man. I think when we were talking about Dan Campbell, shout out to the Las Vegas Raiders for getting it right because I really think they would have lost the fan base, and I really think they would have lost a lot of players if Antonio Pierce did not become their head coach. If you just look at the buy-in and how the players bought into him. The
That bothers me.
quarterback, they don't have a quarterback, but they have a defense and they're a quarterback away. That's a team that you can say that is truly a quarterback away right now.
My thing is this too. They have Jimmy on his deal still. I think Jimmy is done with the Raiders. They could try to run him back with him, but I don't think Aiden O'Connell's the right answer. And I look at the free agents for the quarterback position as well. It's not too many of them that's better than Jimmy Garoppolo or Aiden O'Connell. And I look at the way this team is set up. They have good weapons. You have Devontae Adams. You have Josh Jacobs. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do with Josh Jacobs because this year he had a down year. And like that game that you just saw, they won that game without Josh Jacobs against the Chiefs. And this is another reason why teams don't pay running backs anymore. So Josh Jacobs could be off this team next season, but we will see. But I love the move of getting Antonio Pierce. I won't still put too much stock in the Raiders just for the simple fact that that quarterback position is murky. But like you mentioned, the defense is good with Max Crosby. They have good corners on this team as well. The offensive line is solid, especially on the left side of the field. Just need to figure out some other things with the offense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you basically said the major thing, and then you got to see Zaire White, even though Josh Jacobs didn't really play, they actually have another running back if they want him to walk. Um, he really wasn't trying to sign with them with the franchise tag. But if you look at it, it's more of good GM and good coaching. Because who would have thought Zaire White coming out of Georgia, which he was a great running back, he'll be able to fill in the shoes of Josh Jacobs, who was a Pro Bowler the year before, and then is one of the top running backs in the league. What's going on, Braylon? That's one of my homeboys, man. Definitely appreciate you for pulling up, Braylon.
Be able to, but the Raiders got it right. The Raiders finally got it
They
right.
definitely got it right. They
From
definitely
going out
got it
there,
right.
from getting John Gruden, then to having Josh McDaniels, the whole Josh McDaniels situation is just terrible. Now it's just a horrible head coach, and it's a report today too. I told you, Doug,
We
man.
can go ahead and tell me. No, no. Now, see, now look, see, now, and I'm gonna give AJ credit because I see a lot of people I be telling people about these coaches. They don't want to give me credit. AJ did tell me about Josh McDaniels, but I've been telling him behind the scenes, AJ, I'm telling you, these coaches are gonna line up. And like I said, we can go ahead and get into it. Go ahead and talk about it, AJ. So we can go ahead and talk about these coaches that we want to talk about.
Yeah, man. Belichick, it seems like wherever he goes, more than likely it will be with the Falcons. You heard it here first. It's probably going to be with Atlanta. They're probably going to sign him Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yep.
Josh McDaniels will be the offensive coordinator.
Okay, so I would say this. And AJ, like I said, me and him been talking because he's like, Doug, you see this? I said, I'm already matching up. I'm already matching this person with this person, that person with that person. I'm the one that told AJ when Bill Belichick goes to Atlanta, I'm not worried because again, what is he going to do? He's going to do the same thing that he did in New England. He's going to go with McDaniels, and McDaniels and them don't have a quarterback. They don't have a Tom Brady down there in Atlanta. They have a good defense. They have a great running back. And the only thing that I can say that Bill Belichick will be able to do in Atlanta is run B. John Robinson like he ran Stevenson in the ground. Other than that, they don't have anything. They don't have a quarterback. I mean, I respect Heineken more than Desmond Ritter. But other than that, there's nothing that they can really do right now with the pieces that they have in Atlanta.
Now they got good weapons. They got Drake London. They got Bijan. You got Kyle Pitts. Then they got what's his name? Tyler Algier. So they got two good running backs. The one thing about the Falcons, like you mentioned, Heineke was the best quarterback on that team. If Heineke's your best quarterback, you're not going anywhere. He's gonna throw you out of the game. And the defense was solid at times. The only thing that I will say, watch out for this team doing two things. They're going to talk to Chicago about the first overall pick, and they're also going to talk to Chicago about getting Justin Fields. That's the two things they're going to talk about the Bears.
This is quarterback, and then we're talking about a different dynamic.
Then if Justin Fields does stay with the Bears, they want to stick around, I can definitely see Atlanta trying to trade up to get the first overall pick. Because, man, you look at it, the quarterbacks they've had the last couple of years been terrible. You had Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ritter, and Taylor Heineke. And Arthur Blank has wanted a franchise quarterback since Matt Ryan. He didn't even really want to trade Matt Ryan. That was an Arthur Smith decision. Yeah. So they went on and they moved him. And they haven't had much success since they lost their Super Bowl to the Patriots. And I find it funny you want to go hire the coach that beat you 28-3 when they came back from that lead.
Facts. Hey, yeah, Atlanta. Bradley, you said, how long does AP have to win a championship? I'm trying to figure out who he means by AP. My brain.
Antonio Pierce. He ain't winning no chip.
He not winning a chip, but making the playoffs and getting a wild card spot, I definitely can see him doing that with the Oakland Raiders. And shout out to my guy, Braylon. I'm not going to play him on the spot. My guy actually was on their roster for a little bit. He did get cut. So I'm not going to say Braylon is a Raiders fan because I really know what fan he is. But I definitely know he definitely watches the Raiders, man. But, yeah, I think
we got a fumble.
Yep. Again, if you enjoy the content, definitely share the content. AJ and I are definitely going to be up here going play by play. Like AJ just went ahead and told you guys we got a fumble already. Again, hit the like button for us. Share the video. Leave a comment. You got any questions for us? We're definitely going to be up here for maybe another 30 minutes. So AJ can go ahead and head over to his channel so we can go ahead and talk about he can go ahead and do his film breakdowns for the game, man. So, again, we definitely appreciate everybody joining us this afternoon. Hopefully everybody's staying warm and enjoy the football that's been going on right now. We got 2nd and 13 with the Buffalo Bills on their own 23, it looks like. Josh and the gun, and then I'm going to have AJ go ahead and talk more about the Raiders. It was a dart that Josh Allen tried to throw, but we got an injury right now. KC looks like number 21 tried to stick Diggs, but hit him, but end up getting hurt himself, man. But now with the Raiders, man, I'm definitely just looking forward to, him being at the helm again for a full season. And I feel like coaches that earn it, they definitely deserve it as well. And like you said, he definitely deserved the opportunity to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Nah, man, that's one thing that I am worried about. With what's his name, with Davis being the owner, he may look and say, "Well, this is what the fans wanted. I need to see immediate success. If I don't see it, he's fired."
Well, you already know what we can call that. We can call that the David Temple rule. You get 8 games. You get 8 games, and after 8 games, if you're not doing what I need you to do, you got to hit the boot.
Man, don't get me started on David Temple. We'll be up here for another 4 or 5 hours.
You already know that's my owner, man. So I just only thing I will say, and I've been telling people this, haven't hit me up because we got a couple of second interviews starting tomorrow. You don't hear him talking, and I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing. But based off the hires, I think you'll really know how much influence he did have on this. And if we actually did use the agency to actually help us get our GM and help us get our new head coach.
And it seemed like Tepper just done with it. He just zoned out. He's like, man, at this point, it is what it is.
He
I'm
needs to zone
done.
out. He needs to zone out. But with AJ talking about that, man, we definitely got a couple of coaches that I definitely want to talk about. Definitely shout out to my guy AJ. Like I said, our guy Quan is working right now. If he does pop up, man, he'll definitely join us at the end. But we, AJ and I have talked about several coaches on this thumbnail right here. You got right here Morris, you got Bobby Slovic, you got Ben Johnson, and you got John Harbaugh. Choose which one you want me to go ahead and start with, because we can really talk a lot about each candidate. I'll go with college. You want to talk about college first, coming to the pros?
You talk about Harbaugh.
Let me talk about Harbaugh, man. If he goes back to the college ranks and be the head coach of Michigan, that man will miss four to possibly 5 games. They gave him a 3-game suspension because of infractions with recruiting. It'll be more than that. And I think with him putting them back on the mountaintop of the college football world and winning a national championship, John Harbaugh, it's his time to come back to the NFL. When you really look at it, I think it is the LA Rams are bust. I do know Atlanta has asked to speak back with him, but between Atlanta and between LA, you already have a quarterback in Justin Herbert who just needs proper coaching. And you have weapons in Keenan Allen. He did get hurt the last 3 weeks of the season. You have a dynamic running back in Austin Eckler. You have a decent defense on the opposite side. I think it's a marriage that we're just waiting for it to happen with John Harbaugh. Oh, that's a flag.
They ain't call it though.
That's a flag, man. Josh Allen just got away with throwing the ball over the line, getting a critical first down right now.
He threw it behind him though.
He threw it behind him, but you can't cross that line though.
It's like a lateral, right?
It's a lateral, but you can't throw over the line.
No, that's a lateral. That's crazy.
Hey, hold on. Let me go ahead and post this comment for you. Cody, I appreciate you pulling up to the channel, man. He said, AJ, are we getting a Baker video? And how about those lines?
Lord have mercy. They want to see this Baker video. I got you. After this, I got you.
Like I said, AJ already told me, he was like, Doug, you know how long we're going to be? I said, we ain't going to be long, man. We ain't going to be long. We just got to give people a couple of tidbits before it hits the media or hits the national media. But yeah, with Jim Harbaugh, I know AJ has talked about it on his channel. We definitely talked about it over here. What's up, Doug? We definitely know for sure that Jim Harbaugh, I think in both of our minds, we do think John Harbaugh is going to be the new head coach of the LA Chargers. What you got, AJ?
If it's not Harbaugh, probably Mike Vrabel, more than likely. That team needs a culture change. That's what they need. They can't win close games, and they've just been in a bad situation the last couple of years.
We got a fumble. Hold on.
No, he was down.
That's 2 fumbles.
He was down now.
Yeah. Go ahead, AJ. Yeah,
they need a culture change. That's the biggest thing. You need a coach that's going to come in and change the culture. That's what Jim Harbaugh did with the 49ers a couple years ago. He won Coach of the Year in 2011 with the team, went in, rebuilt the culture, found a way to make the NFL playoffs and make the Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick. So you still try to figure out things that way on the front with the Chargers, because the cap space is ugly with that team. You have to cut a lot of people after this year. And I look at somebody like Joey Bosa, can't stay healthy. And I think that they're going to either actually take a pay cut or they'll just cut him outright. Because you cut him, you save $15 million against the cap after this season. And I do think that's a real possibility for this team. Like you mentioned before with Keenan Allen, can't stay healthy. He's a good wide receiver. I think they can also try to move on from Mike Williams as well. That's one thing that I can see them doing.
Well, see, the thing of it is Quentin Johnson, they just picked up out of TCU, who's a speedster. He might need to pick up a little bit of weight, but there's a reason why they drafted him just this past year.
That's what be a Keenan Allen replacement.
Correct. That's what I was about to say. Correct. Again, like AJ said, I mean, it definitely needs a culture change, but good catch. Great catch. Right now on the update, we have Dalton Kincaid that just caught a magnificent sideline catch. on the 32, driving in for a score, man. Great throw by Josh Allen right there, man. Great throw. For me, I just think I've been a big fan of Keenan Allen. I wanted him to at least get a chip or make it to the AFC Championship game. Um, but I don't know if they will keep him. I don't know what exactly their plans are to do with with Keenan Allen. But I think if they do get Jim Harbaugh, you're gonna have some major changes in a lot of the fat getting cut off. A lot of the fat getting cut off those contracts going forward. So again, I think we're in agreement that Jim Harbaugh will be the head coach of the Las Vegas, the LA Chargers. I want to go to Raheem Morris, who is actually coaching in LA right now. I think if he doesn't get opportunity this year, he definitely will get one next year. Shout out to their GM for actually trying to push for this man to get a job. Yes, he didn't have luck his last 2 years with the Bucks, but he did have a 10+ win season before he had back-to-back losing seasons before he made it back to LA. You have a lot of players that have came out and said that he's a coach's he's a player's coach. Players love to play for him. He's been on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. What coach would you not want to have right there? And another first down by the Buffalo Bills by Kincaid. They're on the 9-yard line driving in for the first score of the game right now. We got 9:56 in the first quarter right now. I really think I wouldn't mind Carolina going for him, but if we miss out on a couple other coaches, I do think right here Morris would be the right coach. Um, Again, he just needs another opportunity, just like Todd Bowles got with the Buccaneers. He was a horrible coach in New York with the Jets. Now he's been able to be broomed underneath Bruce Arians and see what he's able to do right now. They were 8 points away from making it to the NFC Championship game. So again, I think a lot of teams need or a lot of coaches need second chances. You just have to be in the right situation.
The biggest thing with Raheem Morris, I don't want him to just take a job just because.
Yep.
No, he could have similar success like the Miko Ryans. He's been a very good defensive coordinator for the Rams. I think the Rams is a really good spot for him to stay in. It's not a bad spot.
Okay, so let me ask you a question before you say that. So do you give Sean McVay one more year? And if he decides to retire, you'll do what Bruce Arians did, hire within?
I would.
Okay.
I don't even see McVay retiring. I just think that was just just for him, just talk over.
Just to get in the news?
Yeah, man. McVay is young. And I put him in the same category with Shanahan and Coach LaFleur. That type of system that they run is going to have a long-lasting effect on the NFL. He has no reason to go anywhere. But now Raheem Morris is good where he's at. I mean, he can try to rush and try to get a job somewhere else, but we've seen that before. Todd Bowles did that with the Jets, like you mentioned before, and look how that turned out. That was terrible.
Yeah.
And as far as you say Bobby Slowick,
Oh, I'll put him back up. I'll put him back up. Go ahead.
yeah, I know Bobby. You got Bobby Slowick and you got your boy Ben Johnson. Bobby Slowick is very interesting because this is the first time that you hear about him, and he's having all this success with CJ. I think he could stay one more year, do what Ben Johnson did with the Lions, and then if he has the same success, he could be a better candidate for another team. You also have that offensive coordinator for the Bengals. He's getting second and third interviews right now, which is crazy to me. And I think he's getting a lot of that because of the way that he coached up Jake Browning. But when I look at somebody like Bobby Slowick, I think it's too soon for him. A team can hire him. You might not have that much success going on early because he is a young coach. He comes from that similar tree of Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur. But I would try to I'll give him one more year. If I was a GM.
I agree with you. You. Go ahead.
And when you look at somebody like Ben Johnson, see now this is
hold on. Don't you see you going too fast? You're pulling me too fast. Let me take it down. You pull me too fast. You know you're gonna get me happy talking about Ben Johnson. Let's say this with Bobby Slow, but let me report this news right now. It is 3-0 Buffalo. They did not get into the box, so Buffalo is 3-up. Patrick Mahomes will get his first chance on the first drive. We'll definitely let you guys know. Ian Rappaport just reported that Nick Sirianni has let go defensive coordinator Sean Desana, who lost play calling duties his last season. So we are going to get into a little bit of news. I've been telling AJ all week, hey, Sunday and Monday, we're going to get a lot of news that's going to break. But with Bobby Slovic, I think Bobby Slovic, if he does not get a head coaching gig, he is going to do the same thing Ben Johnson did. Hey, I see something special here in Houston. Give me one more year. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I do think he is a good coach, but I think he may need one extra year. I think you might have to temper your expectations with him coming out the gate. But again, I do think Bobby Slovic is a great coach. But I would say a coach that is not getting a lot of respect is defensive coordinator McDaniels outside of Baltimore Ravens. When you really look at it, he's stopped or held all three coaches that are from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree this past year to 12 points on the offensive side of the ball. When they played Houston the first game, then when they went to San Francisco, and now what they just did to the Houston Texans again in the playoffs. Not saying that the offense is not where they can click or they're not able to actually have good games, but when you have a product or a blueprint where again the Baltimore Ravens defense just devoured the type of system that he runs, I think a coach that should definitely get a lot of consideration is McDaniel. He came from Michigan. He came from John Harbaugh. Went from Michigan and went to go play for Jim for 2 years in Baltimore. This is his second year, and I actually think if he does not get an opportunity this year, he will be a hot commodity coming out in 2024 at the end of the year for getting a head coaching gig.
I think Tennessee would be a great fit for him, for the defensive coordinator of the Ravens. That's a great fit. That's the type of coach they're looking for. That'll be a great fit for them. And he's getting interviews right now. My thing is this: if they win the Super Bowl, more than likely he probably is not going to want to leave. A lot of coordinators are good with just being coordinators majority of the time. Some of them just take the head coaching gig to see what it is, to see what they want. Look at what Ben Johnson did last year. A lot of people thought, well, this is the year that he's going to leave. He said, "Nah, I'm gonna run it back one more year," and that tends to happen a lot, especially after teams losing the playoffs. I could see the same thing with the offensive coordinator for Tampa Bay. He'll probably just say this, man, you know what? I'm gonna stay for one more year, perfect my craft, and if they want to move on from Todd Bowles at the next year, this could be my job.
Yeah,
a lot of them just good.
Go ahead.
A lot of them just good with staying at home.
Correct. Let's go ahead and get into Ben Johnson, man. Before I get into Ben Johnson, shout out to one of our guys in the chat, DJ Spins, Austin Wright. He was definitely hitting me up like, Doug, what's going on? You told me Monday, this and that. He's one of the guys that also reached out to me. I definitely appreciate him reaching out to me during the week, asking me, pulling my mind, asking me why I think about this, or that. But I broke some news to him. I don't know if a lot of people know it, but I actually hit AJ. I was like, I really haven't heard anything from Washington. And he was like, what you mean, Doug? I'm like, nobody, nothing's coming out after Adam Peters got the GM spot. But we finally got some news. Shout out to Justina Anderson coming out saying that Eric Bieniemy has been actually interviewing with their brass all week. Some things can be, put underneath a rug. But when it comes to like head coaching gigs or somebody looking for a head coach, more than likely you're going to find out who they're looking at. All right, so we just got a great scramble out by Patrick Mahomes, throwing it to Rice. They're at the 50-yard line driving in right now, man. Got 1st and 10. I think Eric Bieniemy is going to stay in Washington. I know a lot of people were putting Adam Peters and Ben Johnson together. If Eric Bieniemy does go to or does stay in Washington, then more than likely Ben Johnson is coming back home to Carolina or staying with Detroit. But I definitely think we are this week is going to be a lot of answers. Only thing, good catch by Kelsey. We got another 1st and 10 on the 33 driving in, man. Let's see if the Bills defense can bend but won't break and allow them to hold them to a field goal to tie the game up. What's going on, Mama Dukes? I always got to shout out Mama Dukes in the chat, man. But yeah, man, I really think Ben Johnson is everybody's
I, I, mm,
number one guy. You see what him and Dan Campbell and Glenn have able to do in Detroit in the 3-year span. Um, yeah, KC is driving right now. They got a second and possibly fourth coming up right now. I definitely think again, like we said, Ben Johnson's everybody's number one target. But outside of Washington, I don't think there's another owner out there that's going to cut the check that David Tepper's about to cut to Ben Johnson. Just look at the philosophy. You look how people have written out Jared Goff. You look at how they drafted. That's a true blueprint of what Detroit has done, and they have the right coordinators to lead these men to possibly a Super Bowl this upcoming year. Like we just said, they're headed to the NFC Championship game right now. And possibly can upset San Francisco next Sunday. Go ahead, AJ.
so man, Doug, no, I like to mess with him. Now
Don't you do
Ben.
it, man.
Ben is about to go to Washington, have that meeting with Josh Harris, and not come back. Dan Campbell gonna be looking for him next week. Like, man, I need my coordinator. My thing is this: he might not even take a meeting this week because most coaches have done that in the past. They're all zoned in on the AFC.
So AJ, nobody that's in the championship of the AFC and NFC can take no interviews this week. No interviews this week.
Yeah, so you're not going to get news that they've signed anybody this week or they're expected to do anything like that because you might get a tampering, even though this stuff happens anyway. The biggest rumor since the middle of this season was that Ben Johnson to head over to Carolina. We don't know that for sure because, like, you hear this Washington news. Washington was interviewing Eric Bieniemy, but at the same time, that could just be a Rooney Rule candidate. They just say, hey, he's already in house. Let's just interview him, check him off the list. The thing is with Washington, they're in the worst situation than Carolina. Carolina has a defense that is good. Carolina, they have the young prospect quarterback. You look at Washington, they do have Sam Howell, did lead the league in interceptions, but the offensive line was terrible. I look at what the Panthers have. And if I'm Ben Johnson, you got a crazy owner. He might throw a whole case of beer on me if we don't win games in my first year. That's one. But you have Bryce Young. You have the offensive line that needs reshuffling. That's one thing that does bother me because they don't have a first overall pick. They don't have their own first round pick this year. They traded to the Bears. Would you want to go into a situation where the offensive line is that bad? Because Icky's not a tackle. I don't know why Icky doesn't want to
stop it. You better stop.
I don't know why Icky doesn't want to play guard. He said that he thinks he's a tackle. This isn't NC State. Just slide inside. It's okay. You're gonna make a bag regardless, but he should be a guard with this team. So you're talking about two teams are in a bad situation, but I think Carolina is the best spot. And I think that's the spot that he will go to.
All right, let me cut you off because you see me grinding my teeth. AJ's right about. I'm not going to say he's wrong. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. With the drink, that's a metaphor talking about David Tepper. The offensive line is porous, but you coming in interviewing for this job, you know what the weakest links are on this team, right? You're not coming in this job blinded like, oh, this team is golden. You know you got to put in the work. You know that you have trade assets on this team. But I think that's where the GM and the head coach have to be one. They have to be mended in a mindset of how long it's going to take this team. Is it going to take where people say it's going to take 4 years, 5 years? It did not. It did not. It did not. It did not take the Detroit Lions 5 years. It took them what 3 years, right?
With the right coach.
Thing that I think it can take Carolina. It can take Carolina 3 years to get this right. Or we can be a one-hit wonder just like Houston Texans. I'm really ready to see with film on CJ, which you have film every year, what can Houston Texans do next year in year 2? So again, it can either be a one-hit wonder or you're going to have to actually put the work in and actually get a rebuild started with this team.
But you've been stuck in a rebuild forever. That's the problem with
No,
this
we
team.
haven't. We've been in the basement. Now stop it now. Now I told you, you better stop it now.
They've been
Oh
trying to
man.
rebuild. You
Like I
know.
said, I mean, it's 3-3 right now. Like I said, AJ and I were definitely going to,
Yeah.
talk with you
Yeah.
guys, talk a little recap. We're going to hold everybody up, man. We know it's the last game, the best game out of all games everybody's been waiting for. So we didn't want to distract a lot of people from the game, man. But so far, like I said, we got a 3-3 game in the first quarter. 4:35 going. The Bills are about to get the ball for their second drive. But again, stay tuned with All Pro Sports Talks with my guy AJ and especially over here. What's up, Doug? Like I said, our guy Quan is at work. We're definitely going to be bringing something for the Panther fans. But I know AJ's definitely going to have me on his side if something does come about with coaching, because again, a lot of GM and coaching feelings are going to be filled out. I think for sure Atlanta's going to be number one, with Ben Johnson not being able to be interviewed until next
Oh, they're
Sunday.
getting Bill.
Yeah, is I think Atlanta will get the first one, and possibly we're looking at the Chargers bringing in John Harbaugh. After that, you still do have Seattle, which the news came out of Seattle is interviewing Evero for a second interview. So
Perfect. That'd be a perfect fit.
it'd be a perfect fit. But also, don't forget about Dan Quinn, man. Dan Quinn
Lord.
has a legit shot to go back to
Mm-mm.
Seattle and be a defense. I mean, be the head coach
Don't
or
do it,
defense
Seattle.
coordinator. And yeah, he loves Seattle. So
Don't do it, Seattle. Don't do it. Don't do it. Hey, Evero is right there for the taking. Don't do it.
So again, man, like I said, AJ and I definitely want to come up for at least an hour. Definitely give a little show, little highlights, give our takes on the games, man. But I will say this: we're not taking Detroit, but Detroit be ready to stand up. Detroit stand up because again, you were basically the laughing stock of the NFL. Now you're in the NFC Championship game. Um, it's gonna be a good game. AJ and I definitely already gave you guys a couple of tips or a couple of key factors in that game. If San Francisco cannot stop the run, it's gonna be a long day. With Baltimore, I just think it's time for Baltimore to be on top of the NFL again. Lamar Jackson getting the MVP and being able to hold up the Lombardi this year. But also, it's been 53 years since they've actually hosted a AFC Championship game too, AJ. So I know the
Dang.
stadium. Yeah, it's been 53 years, man. 53 years. So,
Now,
what'd you say?
one thing that's interesting too, be on the lookout for Joe Brady, who was taking head coaching interviews this week too.
You still in my time?
Shouldn't be a head coach
I was
yet.
trying to. I was trying to. Well, yeah, I'll give him one more year. That's the Ben Johnson. That's that Ben Johnson where we're going to use that seven. That's that Ben Johnson. Just give him one more year type deal. Give him one
And
more year. That's all they need.
I know why you was making that face. You remember when he was in Carolina and y'all asked him for no reason.
No. We tell now. See, AJ, you're not going to do that. You remember we told you that was Matt Rule's scapegoat. You used the word scapegoat last week. It was
Yeah,
it,
that's Matt.
it was his scapegoat. It was his scapegoat.
Yeah, Matt Rule he wouldn't have been hired if it was me.
I mean, you see, like I said, we ain't gonna get into David Temper tonight, man. We enjoy good football, man. You trying to have my pressure go up. You try to have my pressure go up, man. But now go ahead and tell the people what they should be looking forward to. Go ahead and tell your folks that you about to go ahead and go in the lab and do that Baker Mayfield video. So go ahead and tell the folks to look forward to.
Yeah, man. And for whatever reason, I got everybody blowing up my phone and the live ask for a Baker Mayfield video. You'll get your Baker Mayfield. You'll get your Detroit video too. You'll also get your Kansas City and Buffalo breakdown after this game. May push Kansas City off to the morning. I will say this too, man. I don't know if you deal with this or not. All these Taylor Swift fans coming out of nowhere. Y'all don't know no football. Y'all don't know football. Stay away from me.
They don't. I mean, again, like you got to think about it. It's just more of trying to bring music into the NFL.
And I'm gonna sound like the old dude yelling at the clouds, man. I don't know nothing about her. Okay, I don't know her. Okay, I'm talking about Kelsey. Like, what impact she had on the game? Nothing. She's a fan. Nothing. But yeah, y'all get the Baker Mayfield video. Y'all get the Lions video. I do want to add one more thing too for y'all rush me out of here. I do want to get one more thing about Ben Johnson with the Panthers. I think it'll just be an excellent fit. You said that the team needs to go into their rebuild mode. Maybe I think they have the pieces to actually contend, especially with on the defensive side of the ball. They definitely have that. And if Coach Evru does leave, that will hurt this team. That's the thing to look forward to. If they don't get Ben Johnson, which isn't a gimme, but it seems like he will be the head coach of this team next season, they should interview Evero. If they like what they hear from him, have him be the head coach and still build the team around Bryce Young. I know a lot of people, we talked about it behind the scenes. They read the comments and they say, oh, trade Bryce. If you one of those people, you don't know football.
Facts.
They should keep Bryce, and they're going to keep Bryce. And if they don't, yeah, I'll just leave that for what it is. But they're going to keep Bryce, build that offensive line around him, and get some actual weapons. That's what they need to do. Jonathan Mingo is a solid young wide receiver. They need a true number one. Whether you go out there, give T. Higgins all the money he wants, do whatever you need to do, build a team around Bryce, draft on the offensive end, and they should be in a better situation than they were last season. You can't get worse than what it was last season.
Yes, sir. So, like I said, man, the end of the first quarter is 3-3, man. AJ and I, again, if you have missed the live, definitely pull back, pull the tape back. We definitely talked about the games from yesterday. We definitely started off with the Detroit Lions and the Buccaneers. Talked a little bit about Antonio Pierce. Again, shout out to the Las Vegas Raiders and Antonio Pierce. Also talked about a couple of openings that will be filled within in here the next 2 weeks, man. So, again, everybody stay safe. Everybody enjoy it. Like I said, stay tuned this week. We might have some more content come out this week. I know for sure. And we might do a special next week a little bit earlier. So again, so the fans won't be, asking us for content, man. But I definitely appreciate my guy AJ pulling up and kicking it with us over here. What's up, Doug? Again, if you have not subscribed to All Pro Sports Talk, definitely hit the subscribe button for my guy AJ. If you're new here or you enjoy the content, definitely share it out. But definitely love to hear back from you guys in the comment section. Everybody stay safe. One love. Stay blessed.